Welcome to the REPO4EU Podcast, the program that brings you closer to the latest innovations, research and developments happening in drug repurposing across the globe. I'm your host, Alexandra Rodriguez, and in this episode I'm joined by PhD researcher Filipa Lopes. Originally from Portugal, Filipa started her scientific journey with a degree in biology, followed by a master's in applied microbiology, where she explored the bioethics of genome editing. She's currently pursuing her PhD while being involved in the EU-funded project REPO4EU as a research fellow in bioethics. Her role involves ethical analysis, stakeholder engagement, and the development of guidelines to help European researchers adhere to the highest ethical standards. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Filipa and that you feel inspired by her words on how to make science a truly ethical and honest pursuit. Hi, Filipa. Welcome to the podcast. It's really great to have you here today.
Hi, Alexander, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So, Filipa, I'm very excited to talk to you today because we're going to be delving into a topic that I'm not very familiar with, which is bioethics. So tell me, how did you end up specializing in this field in particular?
Yes, of course. So, during my master program, I did a thesis on the bioethics of genome editing. And during this work, I had the opportunity to explore the ethical questions and the societal implications of cutting edge genetic technologies. And I think that was at this point during my master degree that I developed a huge interest in the field of bioethics. After my master degree, my commitment with the ethical aspects of science and lead me to take a postgraduate in animal welfare.
For someone who's not familiar with the term, can you explain what bioethics is and what do you think specifically piqued your curiosity about this field?
For me, the most wonderful thing in bioethics, in a very short way, I think is the way to make science with rules and values. To establish some boundaries, some limits between what you should do and what you shouldn't do during your research.
Can we talk very briefly about, I guess, the ethical implications of using genome editing and all these new technologies that are coming up? So, for you as a researcher, what are some of the key considerations that you have to keep in mind when applying these new tools?
Before we use these technologies, we have to think about the consequences, the limits, the boundaries, the risks, and of course the advantages, and not to make science just because it's a new technology. And here I think that is the importance of bioethics.
So this takes me obviously to your current role within REPO4EU. So ethical considerations are also a big part of what's being explored in the project, especially related to drug repurposing. So I'm curious to know, Filipa, did you know much about drug repurposing before coming into the project? Like, what was your degree of knowledge about this field?
Absolutely nothing yet. It's a completely new area for me. And I'm still learning about drug repurposing.
So, considering it's quite a new field for you, and like you said, you continue learning about it, what is your role specifically being inside the project? Tell me a bit more about how you're contributing with your skills and your knowledge.
As you know, I am a PhD student, and my focus as a member of the ethics teams for this project is to implement an ethics by design approach. And this involves developing documents such as the ethics self assessment templates for all the work packages to help all the members to identify and to lead with all the ethical issues that can arise during the project. Also, we can develop templates for information sheets and informed consent forms for all the clinical trials that will take place in REPO4EU, in these clinical trials. And we can lead with some ethical issues during all the project, such as the human participants in clinical trials or interviews, the use of human cells or tissues, the secondary uses of human samples, the use of animals in clinical trials. And my role in this project involved a ethical analysis, stakeholder engagement, and the development of guidelines to ensure that European research adheres to the highest ethical standards.
It sounds like obviously you play a really important role in ensuring the success of the project, but in a way that it's ethical and fair and transparent. But I'm wondering, Filipa, have you ever encountered any challenges when explaining this to researchers? For example, if someone doesn't see the value or the importance of embedding ethical practices in their research, is this something that's ever happened to you?
No, no. Thankfully, no. I think that all the researchers can understand very well the role of bioethics in this project. I think the most difficult part for our team in bioethics during this project, that is to make our team update of what is going on in all the projects, in all the work packages. But I think that is just a question of time, and people are, of course, other works. And I don't think that is because it's bioethics and they don't want to apply the standards and guidelines. I don't think so.
We are a very big consortium. We're many partners working together. So I can imagine it's not easy to try and get hold of everyone. And this actually leads me to my next question, which is about working within a transdisciplinary team, because this is something that we're also trying to foster and encourage through REPO4EU, bringing all these different fields together to advance drug repurposing, which is the final aim of the project. Is this something you've enjoyed so far?
Yeah, of course. The fact that we deal with completely different fields, it what makes the project so interesting, and of course sometimes so complex. And for me, of course, in my particular case, given that my field of study is bioethics, it's important to engage with all the different areas, since we need to stay informed about everything that is happening in the project in order to apply an ethics by design approach.
You mentioned earlier something very interesting, which was animal welfare. This is a very interesting topic and conversations that's happening across all life sciences fields. Why is this an important topic of conversation for you?
Of course, animal welfare is really necessary during all the clinical trials. In the Europe, we have some restrict rules to make research with animals. We have the three R's: the replacement, the refinement, and the reduction, and we have to comply with all these rules. When it is possible to reduce the number of animals, we should reduce the number of animals. And for me, I really love this subject, because of course it's necessary to use the animals during the research, because it's for a huge end, of course. For example, for clinical trials for cancer or for many diseases. But in my opinion, of course, we should animals in the right way. For us in bioethics, it's very important to follow the rules during the clinical research, to respect always the animal welfare.
Before we wrap up with the last question, if there's anyone from the Repo for EU project listening to us, or a researcher or someone who works in science, what would you say is the main takeaway from our conversation today that they should keep in mind when they go back to the lab or when they go back to doing their work?
From the bioethics point of view, and my, of course, I would say that above all, we should all to be patient. It's necessary to have some virtues as a researcher, like integrity, curiosity, honesty, and resilience. and most of all, love what you do, of course, but do it on the right way. Also, be responsible researcher and respect all the science members and the science itself. And of course, it's necessary to produce science, but please do it with ethics and values and norms. And I think that is the take home message from the bioethics team.
Absolutely. I think that's a super important message to get across. My last question for you today, Filipa, is thinking about the early stages of your studies and your career. Do you have a piece of advice, something that you've learned throughout the years that you would like to pass on to someone who's at the beginning of their journey?
I think that we should do what we want and what makes us happy. And if science is what makes you happy, okay, we should go, but always having in mind that it's not a very easy path. In some careers we don't need to have some values as here in science. We really need to like what we do, because of course it's not always easy, it's not always simple, but I think with resilience and passion we can get there. So I think that would what I say to a young investigator.
That's amazing. I think this is a wonderful way to end our conversation today. So, all I have to say is thank you so much for all your knowledge and your insights.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed to talk with me, so I think that was a very great moment.
For more information about Repo4EU and the mission behind the project, please visit repo4.eu and make sure to follow the project on all the social media. We're on X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and YouTube. If you simply type Repo4EU, you'll find us there. Until the next one.